Today I'm just going to be starting the process of putting some of the new metal here on this 65 Fastback shell that I'll be building, and it will be for sale. If you see my last video, I describe a little bit about it, what I have with it. But if anyone's interested, give me an email, comment below, or however you want to get a hold of me if you're interested in it, and we could talk about it. But today, which you can see, I set the sides together, both left and right, the inner structures. I just vice gripped them just now, measured it to make sure that it was right, which I'll show you what I'm kind of going off of to make sure that each side is equal. And then I'm going to put the roof braces in between next, so there's a front and a back one. Tie them together because the car just sitting like that, it's about 2 inches too far apart, so I got to draw it together, get it right, and you don't want it to lean to the left or the right or it's going to throw everything off. So I'm going to put together a good bit of that structure before I weld anything. I know that the rockers are good, the inners to the outers right now. It's just about the matter of getting it centered left to right. So just going to go over some of the stuff today. It'll go together pretty quickly just because it's all new panels. I already prepped the, let's see, I got the firewall prepped. The lower cowl will be prepped here in a minute. So it should flow together real nice. We'll see it come together. I have the rear window deck panel where the fold down, the trap door goes. We'll hopefully have that set in place today. And my goal by the end of the day is to have most of the inner structure done and welded together. Firewall, that trapdoor panel, and the sides there along the rockers, and then it'll be sailing from there. I'm going to be back on the 69 probably tomorrow, but I'm going to use today to get as far as I can on this shell. So let's check out where we're at with this right now, what I'm doing to measure, just to give everyone an idea of what I'm going through to set this car up, building from just the parts here. Okay, so pretty much every panel that I have is from Dynacorn, which I showed. I got the floor pan down yesterday, set it up on my platform, got everything to the right height where it needs to be. And like I was saying, it is a convertible one. So you can see all the structure pieces for the convertible. So this is going to be a really nice strong car for anyone that wants something a little bit more beefier, that can handle some power, that you don't have to worry about anything twisting. But so for the side panels, there's a couple things that I'm lining up. I'm trying to get the side panels so that one's not farther forward than the other. That's pretty much the goal of setting these side panels up. The only way you could kind of be wrong is one is farther forward than the other. So you just want to center them back and forth with each other in line, so the left to right, it's the same. So I'm basing it off of the rockers where it's meeting at the back, so that they're even there for the most part, as long as it lines up side to side, and distances, like I go off of the face of the A-pillar out to the end of the rocker, which isn't necessarily going to make it 100%, but it gets me in the same location, left and right. Before then I could take measurements, say across, making sure that things are in line across, and the rockers are in line across. So that's just getting it forward to backward centered, both sides. And then I vice grip everything in place. And these, they fit together real nice, these outers with the inners. Just making sure that my lines are flush, they're tapped down. You can see I got the mallet out, just to tap that down, because these panels are a little bit tweaked up, just from how they're formed. So just getting them to go exactly where I want them so it meets the panels real nice. Same with the bottom, just getting it nice and flush along the inner and outer, so nothing's hanging lower than the other side, and it's all even. So that's pretty much setting up left and right with the floor pan, which you can see just 3 pieces. It's starting to look like a Mustang already. It'll go together really fast. Then next, now that I have those vice gripped in place, I'm going to set these roof braces in place, which, like I said, they're spread apart too far, so I got to bring the left and the right in. So I'm going to set these roof braces in place. Probably use a ratchet strap just to bring it together, and that would hold it in place because it's just me. If I had an extra hand, I would have another person on that side. We'd push it together, I'd clamp it. So if you're by yourself, ratchet straps are always something that I use. We'll pull it together, get it right from the back and from the front roof brace going across, which I have them sitting up here. There's your back, front, set it in place, pull them together, vice grip them to where they need to be, and then I'll double check measurements, window frame across, the back glass apart, the distance across, just to make sure everything's okay there. And I'm just going to vice grip everything in place until I know that everything works together nice. After I put the roof braces in, we're going to go Firewall, which I already have the holes prepped in it, so I can just stick it in, and I already trimmed it for the inner rockers for the convertible. So I'm going to set that in place, vice grip it to the cowl side panels, and we're just going to tuck it underneath the floor. I won't screw that in place until I set the front rails in, because sometimes to get them to meet that firewall nice, you need to jam the firewall back a little bit more maybe, or bring it forward. So I won't secure that to the floor pan until I get those front rails in place, so I'll leave that loose. But I'll eventually weld just the sides of the firewall to the cowl side panels to get that set. And then after that piece, we'll go on to the upper and lower cowl. I'll prep that lower cowl, set it in place, because at that time it can meet the top of the pillar here, go down the cowl side panels, and it would meet along the firewall up the other side and the same. So that would get that squared up, and then I'll set the upper cowl on place, and I have measurements of how far the cowl should set in relation to the window frame, and distances back from the ground up to the cowl, just to make sure that it's not higher on one side, lower. So there's lots of measurements that I have for these, and it's tough to give them. Everyone always asks for measurements that I have, and I never give them out just because they're my personal measurements that I've taken over the past 11 years. So they're all based off of how I measured the cars. So for me to describe how I measure the cars, if it's taken wrong, someone gets the wrong measurement idea, and then their car's screwed up, and then, oh, I got it from this guy Ben on the internet of his measurements, and my car's way off, he's terrible. So I just don't give them out just for that reason. I don't need to be the blame person. So I keep them for my own personal use to do all of these shells. And they all line up in the end. I've never had any issues with anything. And I have done a ton of these shells now. So at that point, we'll have the cowl together. By the end of the day, I would like to get the rockers welded, roof braces screwed in place, firewall in and welded to the cowl side panels, and then the lower cowl welded in place, and then hopefully get that trapdoor panel set in place, maybe not welded yet until I can test fit some of the back end pieces to make sure that quarters won't have any issues. So that's the goal for today. We'll see here as the video goes along if everything fits well. I'll let you guys know if something doesn't fit well, but for the most part right now, I'm happy with how everything fits together with these the body sides to the rocker. So let's go on. I'm going to set these roof braces in place and we'll go from there. Okay, it's the end of the day. Just recapping everything that I got done today. Pretty much everything that I was hoping to get done, I was able to get done. I welded some of the inner to the outer rockers. You can see a couple of the dots there where I welded it just to hold it in place for now until I was making sure everything was lining up okay and measuring out okay. The firewall is completely welded in place up the sides along lower cowl. Lower cowl is welded in place. Ground down my welds, and I just threw the primer on. You can see it's drying. I'm just waiting on it to dry. A couple coats of primer so I can seam seal around these top hats, which I've done in some other videos. And again, I'm just using the brushable seam sealer from Eastwood. That seems to work really nice. It holds up real well. So once that's dry, I'm going to seam seal both of those top hats. And tomorrow, I'll be able to weld the upper cowl on, which I'm priming also the inside of that. So whenever it's flipped over and on, you're not going to be able to really coat that very well. So I coat everything before I weld that together. I do that on every cowl panel job that I do. So that whole section is all welded together, and I got the roof skin just screwed in place just to make sure everything was where it needed to be with the structure, and it does fit really nice. This is the first car where I've used the inner structure pieces, like these one-piece sides, but overall they're really nice. It's a little early to give a full review on them, but until I get to see how the quarter panels line up, but I would imagine it's going to be really nice just by how all of this fits. And I got this just clamped in place for now. I'm going to be changing, like I said, this rear window panel, the top piece. I'm just using it for the structure piece of it, the insides, because it is a really nice panel. So I'm going to reuse that. So I just have it close until I can line everything up there on the back half. So that's where I'm at for today. It's starting to look like a Mustang already. It's going to go together real quick. I'm real happy with how everything's looking. Firewall to the floor pan. Everything's lining up real nice. So tomorrow, upper cowl will be welded on. I'll grind those welds down, and then I'm going to start mocking up the front end. The shock tower assemblies left and right, and radiator support. So I'll get those three pieces up, and I'll start aligning them. I might be able to get them completely lined up by the end of the day. I probably won't weld them. It takes a little bit just to get them where they need to be. But then it'll be, I mean, front to back, the frame rails, everything will be in place. And then we'll be cruising from there. After that, hang doors. I already have the door hinges rebuilt. I did them a while back. I'm going to hang the doors, and then we'll do taillight panel and both full quarter panels along with the wheelhouses, because they are just screwed in place from Dynacorn. They don't come welded together in there. So line up all that back half, and then we'll move back up to the front, fenders, hood, all that. So it's going to fly together pretty quick here, but everything's nice. Lines up real good so far, so real happy with this Dynacorn metal. That's it for today's video. If you liked it, as always, give it a thumbs up. Seemed I got a lot of people interested in the last video where I started on this with just the pieces, showing all the pieces. So hopefully everyone follows along and just on the journey of building this car, putting everything together and just seeing how everything lines up. So if you're interested or have any of these parts that are going to be on your car and you just want to know someone's opinion on how everything fits, this will be a good video for that. I'll break down. If something doesn't fit, I'll tell you it doesn't fit. So real nice, up to date. Thanks for watching this video, and hopefully I have another one out tomorrow at the end of the day, and we'll see how much of that front end I got lined up. So we'll see you in tomorrow's video.